Hey YouTubers, it's Paradigm Shifting 999, the first Lo-Fiologist. Now, today I'm going to review CYGN, the masterpiece of an album titled Body and Soul. Now, let me just start out by saying this track can be played in multiple settings, from a ride in the car with your homies, 4 to 5 deep preferred, to a candlelit dinner with your girl, and even to the after party, if you feel me. So, with the first track titled Body and Soul, it's an introductory track setting the pace for a great lo-fi experience. The opening is a light background sound with a distant voiceover and birds that lay an excellent palette for the pulsating rhythms of the track. Now, at 1:30, this track comes alive even more. Pay close attention to the light pianos in the background at this point. Now, the second track, San Juniperus. The second track is where the magic starts to happen. We're quickly immersed into an atmospheric introduction. Then the beat and the pianos take over the track and our souls into perfect lo-fi fashion. But at 5 minutes even, we're hit with the foundational voice samples, but pay close attention to the competing piano hits that follow. The hidden gem of the track are the lasers that subtly oscillate back and forth throughout the background. At point 648, the deep vibrato-filled voice takes over, but we are softly exited with the previous foundational voice. Very nice. Now the next track, All Your Love, my personal favorite. This track is a true masterpiece. It gives me goosebumps. It's a goosebump creator that can be played on repeat all day long, and trust me, I speak from experience. I love how the beat just gets right into it, and immediately we're just thrown into this neatly woven bass and synthesizer vibe with just a sprinkling of sultry vocals to come. At 8:12, the beat blasts off into a galaxy filled with seductive samples, synthesizers, bass, and listen for the cosmic bells that layer out the background of the super galactic track. This bass perfectly sets up the piano hit that oddly strikes down but loops back each 4 measures. At 4 minutes, listen to how the deep sample, which was just previously high, is lightly repeated in the background. Then we experience a near perfect ending, finishing us off with the seductive cosmic closing. As I said before, the best track in my opinion. Now the fourth track, titled White Cadillac. This track starts off slow, but only because we're just overtaken from the last track. Now, although this track is the best, it's a good laid-back filler kind of track. I would actually like to see it later on in the album. In my opinion, a perfect setting would have been All Your Love, followed by Digital Sex, which is the next track. Now, this track would have been great right after All Your Love. Try it. Try that. Next time you're listening, just take the White Cadillac out and go right into Digital Sex. Trust me, I wish it would have been arranged like that. Anyways, it follows the same cosmic feeling because the intro makes us feel we're blasting off into space. Now at 13:20, take notice of the teaser drop that finally hits and gives us a great background cymbal that subtly adds depth to the hard-hitting galactic drum and snare. At 13:45, that brings in an airy voice that feels like an astronaut's last plea for the space to save him. The next track, Lazy Pacific. It's an excellent foundation that's laid from the beginning because we experience some crisp, clean drum, bass, and snares and hi-hats, and the themey atmospheric sound layering, giving way for us. at the 625 mark, you can hear the soft melodic echoing French voice type samples. At 1644, we're hit with a cosmic synth flip that transitions the track nicely into a flurry of soft, subtle hi-hat acrobatics. Now, the next track, titled Remember. At first, this seems to be also another filler track, but it's really the precursor of the following track. But take notice of the background sound that sounds like staticky metal tapping, fading in and out. I'll give you time to listen to it if you're listening. Now, the next track, Heartbreak. As I said before, the previous track leads into Heartbreak. Now, pay close attention to the quick backgrounds that interchange from the beginning. The heavy layered atmospheric background clashes with the hard-hitting snare and deep bass, giving way to the familiar echoing astronaut, but this time it sounds like he's trying to talk to his girl, talking a little something, right at 22:14. Now at 22:58, we're softly taken down into a low-pass filter, then it fades back into a completely different feel at 23:23's introduction to an echoing sample, only to be resurrected back into the previous part, which also fades away. Best arranged song. Listen to it multiple times. That way you can get the arrangement. That's the only way you'll start to recognize what goes in and out. The next track, Cold Hard Woman. This track exquisitely bounces back and forth between the fading static sound at the other point of the sample and the fading echoing sound that makes us feel like we're teleporting into space. At 26:24, this brings in a nice breakdown and voice sample. It's a switch which is then shortly followed by 26:40, the previous airy echoing voice sample. I'm not sure what happened at 27:04's transition, but unfortunately, it gives way to a subpar ending. But a nice track until then. Then we're immediately immersed into another classic track. The Birds and Static lay down a palette for the heavy bass and cosmic instrumentation to be attacked by the almost shape-shifting sound at 28:02 and leads into a West Coast feeling synthesizer that slowly emerges into a type of takeoff of a UFO, which slowly starts to take off at 28:25 and immediately encounters an arsenal of lasers firing into the distance. At 28:57, this initiates the trailing alarm sound that has a front sound accompanied by a background clone that trails the already alarm that we're hearing. At 28:32, allows us to notice that the sound that lightly emerges back softly, but it becomes more prevalent with increasing ease. The next track, Love is Weakness. It's a soft galactic starting that sets the tone for the reverb heavy snare that drops at 31:03, which beautifully transitions into that sound at 31:06, followed by the newly subtle background instrument. Right before 31:26, listen to the soft sound that emerges, which prepares for a breakdown, then emerges 31:35 with a sound that acts like a beacon from outer space and gets finished off with that reverb heavy snare at 31:45. Very great ending. Next track, Nobody Can See Me. At first you're like, the hell is going on? Until 33 sample leading into the other voice of 33:13. Then we're like, okay, I'm feeling this. This track only works out as an outro, which is why I think it's perfect placement in the album. Great ending to a monumental track, bringing us into a deepening low pass filter at 36:01, then ascending back out at 36:14. And we can't finish this video off without mentioning the artwork by Jim Spendlove. Another just element that adds to this totality of a masterpiece here. The art, it impeccably depicts the chill but cosmic feel of the album, with its horizontal 8mm film lines sporadically dancing across the screen, from the floating Cadillac to the record store adjacent to the hoverboard repair shop. This artwork gives a visual look into the future of lo-fi hip-hop music and the lunar life as a whole. Overall, I rank this album a 9 out of 10. This is a classic album that will go down in lo-fiology history. Thank you very much, CYGN, for this masterpiece, and I hope y'all enjoyed this review. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Let's get a conversation started. Peace, love, and lo-fi, y'all.